Chuck, my son. For so many years I have longed to say those words aloud to you. What I am about to tell you is a story of loss, hope, sacrifice, and faith. It is the story of how I knew you from a dream and found you again after believing you lost to me forever. Some of these truths you may have already pieced together throughout your journey. Others I have carried alone for centuries, waiting for the day I could finally share them with you. 10 days before you arrived at the academy, Ubtao visited me in a dream one final time, and with solemnity, he spoke.
The spark has reignited.
Yet even before he uttered those words, I knew, for in a way I cannot explain, I felt the rebirth of an essence I had mourned for decades. I felt you. It was time at last for me to act, to play my hand in the grand design, to tip the first domino that would set you upon your destined course. As fortune, or fate, would have it, word soon reached me from an old friend. Binksby, having at last completed his life's work, had taken a grave turn. The years were finally catching him, and he feared he had little time remaining. In that moment, I realized the strands of destiny were converging, the spark had returned, the Guardian had been completed, and the gnome who had spent decades preparing for this moment was nearing the end of his journey. I traveled south to meet with Binksby. It was our first meeting in many years, and though I was overjoyed to see him again, my heart broke when I witnessed the state of his health. There, beside the construct he had spent decades creating, I finally revealed the truth I had kept hidden for so long. I spoke of my past, of Ubtao's visions, of you, and of the role his creation would one day play. Together we devised a plan. I told him that I would be able to draw you north when the time came, though I spared him the darker truths of what that would require. Binksby accepted his part without hesitation, and I was grateful that his final days could remain free of the shame I knew I would bear. When at last our plans were laid, we parted ways, and I journeyed further south, to the village where Ubtao had hidden the boy. Donning the guise of a rogue wizard, I wove a dark tale of misdeeds and cruelty. To my great shame, I became the villain he sought. I raised the dead. I unleashed skeletal hordes. I spread fear and destruction wherever I passed. Though I sought to limit the carnage, I cannot deny that innocent lives were lost by my hand, and for this I shall bear the weight of my sins for all my days. My path gradually led back northward, my trail of destruction luring the boy ever onward in pursuit. At last, I returned to a familiar campsite. There I found my dear friend once more. Binksby lay upon his deathbed, his life's work complete, his soul at peace. This was our second meeting in a 10-day. The first had been among old friends making preparations for the uncertain days ahead. This one was a farewell. With me beside him, he was ready at last to let go, to take his final rest and journey to his God. I remained with him until the end. And then I did what must be done. I set the stage for his creation's return, arranging the scene so that when the automaton returned to camp, grief would shape his purpose as fate intended. When you arrived, Chuck, you found the construct, Mac Pro, standing vigil over the lifeless body of its creator. You sought the Ranger's aid, speaking of the rogue wizard whose dark hand was surely behind the murder. Stricken with grief, the construct swore vengeance, took up his creator's tools, restocked his quiver, and set forth on the hunt. Reunited at last, Guardian and Ward stood side by side, metal and mortal, bound by purpose. Though MacPro knew it not, he was drawn to me as if by unseen design, as though the hand of fate itself had shaped his programming. Your search for the rogue wizard led you to Parabor, where you were given the opportunity to sharpen your skills for the battles ahead. And so, you and your companion enrolled in my academy. When at last I beheld you in the flesh, it took every ounce of my resolve to withhold the truth. I longed to kneel before you, to embrace you, to confess all I had done to bring you to me. Yet I knew the time was not yet ripe. This was not my moment. It was yours. For I knew that the weight of your lineage was a burden no mortal shouldered lightly. Had you learned the truth too soon, you might have faltered, crushed beneath expectations you were not yet prepared to bear. You needed to grow, your strength, your wisdom, your spirit, until you were ready to venture forth. If I had shaped your path with my own hand, it would not have been your path at all, but mine. No, you were meant to find your own way, carve your own destiny, and through trial and hardship, become the one you were destined to be. And so, for 6 months, you trained under my guidance, and in those days, I found joy beyond measure. Watching over you in those early months, I planted the seeds that would one day blossom into the champions you have become. Champions of Ubtao himself. They were truly some of my happiest days. But such peace was not destined to last. I had not expected the enemy to find us so quickly, to root us out in Parabor as they did. You know well what followed. They infiltrated the town, slew me, and seized Syndra, who had sought me out to report on the death curse. It became clear that our enemies, too, had glimpsed the tapestry of fate and were moving their own pieces upon the board. Yet my fate in Parabor mattered little. By then, you were already prepared to begin your great journey. As for me, just as when I fell in Mesro, my soul returned to my phylactery in the astral plane, where my body was reforged. I soon returned to Chult, and I have watched you ever since, waiting for this moment to reveal all, to lay bare my purpose, and to stand before you, not as your master, but as one who loves you.